When a new technology arrives, the immediate fear is mass layoffs, but the data tells a different story. Artificial intelligence rarely eliminates entire occupations wholesale. Rather, it systematically changes the individual day-to-day tasks we perform across almost every industry. Employers now treat AI fluency as a baseline requirement for entry-level hiring, placing it alongside foundational professional skills rather than specialized technical expertise. To remain competitive in this environment, workers cannot rely solely on the education they received years or decades ago. They have to continually adapt and acquire new competencies as the technology evolves. This creates an economy dependent on a workforce in a constant state of training. That reality upends our traditional assumptions about who actually needs access to the classroom. If you picture a college student, you probably imagine an 18-year-old living in a dorm on a grassy quad. That demographic is no longer the majority. Today, the dominant share of enrollment belongs to post-traditional adult learners, people returning to education while managing complex adult lives. These students face a severe structural barrier that younger students generally do not. Researchers identify this constraint as time poverty. This chart breaks down a standard 168-hour week. For over 80% of student caregivers, 40 of those hours are instantly consumed by work and dependent care. After factoring in basic needs like sleep, discretionary time left for education drops to near zero. Yet the architecture of traditional higher education demands that exact resource. Universities routinely block returning students with administrative holds over past due balances, discard their previously earned transfer credits, and force them into inflexible daytime schedules. We're taking a population that is severely time bankrupt and forcing them to navigate an institutional maze designed for people with abundant free time. That mismatch becomes critical when we look at what learning artificial intelligence actually requires. True AI literacy centers on human judgment and ethical awareness, requiring a sophisticated understanding of system logic that goes beyond basic prompt execution. A literate user must be able to understand how the system generates its outputs, evaluate those outputs for accuracy and bias, and use the tools safely in a real-world environment. High-level risk management guidelines exist to govern these tools. The U.S. Department of Labor has established formal frameworks for artificial intelligence in the workforce. But these are policy documents. They have to be translated into practical, accessible instruction for the general public. Because BIS literacy demands complex critical thinking and ethical evaluation, adults require structured educational support. You cannot hand someone a software login and expect them to safely navigate an automated system. As the societal demand for this structured training spikes, we have to look at the capacity of our adult basic education system to deliver it. Adult education enrollment plummeted over 65% between 2000 and 2021, dropping from 2.6 million to under 900,000 learners. Institutions often misdiagnose these dropout rates, applying a deficit model that labels the decline as a lack of motivation or individual failure. The reality is that the learners did not give up. The educational system failed to retain them because it refused to modernize its policies to accommodate the intense constraints of adult life. If legacy universities are too rigid, the solution has to come from a different environment altogether, the localized community ecosystem. Instructors are finding success through a strategy called embedded learning. Instead of asking adults to sign up for a standalone, multi-week course on artificial intelligence, they weave AI training directly into existing, short-term, basic digital skills classes. This works because it respects the learner's schedule. Adults practice prompting and evaluating AI while simultaneously learning everyday survival tasks, like navigating the internet, drafting simple emails, and managing online safety. It requires zero extra time commitments from a population that has none to spare. Public libraries serve as the ideal physical infrastructure for this approach. Institutions like the Queens Public Library have successfully integrated AI programming into their community education, leveraging their proven ability to host inclusive, age-friendly civic engagement. Effective adult education does not demand more hours from the learner. It meets them inside the community spaces they already trust and utilize. We can apply these lessons directly to the Treasure Valley, turning our region into a testing ground for community-driven educational policy. Regional leaders must pivot away from generic marketing campaigns that simply tell adults to return to college.
We have to invest instead in flexible, stackable credentials and clear, single point of contact systems that streamline the re-enrollment process. These localized efforts have to be targeted. We must specifically protect the populations most at risk of digital exclusion, particularly older adults, migrants, and refugees, who are frequently left out of standard tech literacy initiatives. By removing administrative friction and respecting the time poverty of adult learners, these localized strategies create a functional bridge across the emerging AI-driven economic divide.